I believe in God, Torah, and Israel. If you read the work of Jacob Neusner, you'll come to know that God, Torah, and Israel is Judaism. You can have any one of those things without Judaism, but you can't have Judaism without all three: God and Torah and Israel. And Israel is, of course, the people, and Israel is, of course, the land. And I can't tell you who and what God is, because my conception of God personally is just as wrong as yours. But I can tell you that there is God. And through the example of my rabbis, my family, my friends, Reverend Paul, another Episcopal minister, my stepfather of blessed memory, Tom Hansen, and others in my life, I've come a long journey with God over time. But not as long as our combined Jewish journey, which is 3,000 years in the making. And if you want to focus on the pluralism of our people, the difficulty of our road, the integrity of our belief, the sense that covenant matters and distinguishes, does not set us above, but sets us apart, you will come to know that God is a love affair of 3,000 years that continues to go stronger like the shofar at Mount Sinai, louder and louder and louder. Torah is how I became a rabbi. Torah is that which was given, but it's that which we have done with it. We have taken the Torah to our hearts. And in Torah study, we have engaged our minds to every ability that God has given us to try and wrestle with the great ideas and those great conversations, but also to find purpose and meaning. To look to words that are bigger than us for ideas to answer the questions that are bigger than us. We come into a house of worship, not to be told what to think, but to be taught how to think, and to be assured that after 3,000 years of driving the Jewish soul around the block and kicking the tires, we figured a few things out. And there's great wisdom to be found in our tradition. And it helps, and it matters. Torah is the text, but Torah is the context. And because the context matters, I could never be anything other than a conservative Jew. It's a strange thing to say, but unlike some of you, I got to pick. I got to pick. I didn't have to explain. Well, I had to explain to my parents something. But I didn't have to say, Mom, I'm becoming Orthodox, or Mom, I'm becoming Reform, or what have you. And for me, there was no choice in the world other than conservative Judaism, because I was raised in a family with a strong mother, and I was raised in a family with a strong father who never tried to be a man by not letting the women in his life be women. He is an egalitarian to the core. When I became Jewish, he left the Christian church with the quote, "I didn't know you could leave." And he became a Unitarian. And his great holiday is United Nations Day, and we can all talk about that at the Kiddush. Especially this week. And a sister, I don't know how many sectional letters and patches and awards and so forth and straight A's and all that in front of me as a role model. I could never be part of a religion where men and women were not equal. But I could not be part of a religion as well that was devoid of belief and awe and mystery or intellectual rigor and honesty. If the rocks and the archaeology tell us this is the way it was, accept it. If the paleontologist tells you this is the way it was, accept it. And if the rabbi tells you this is the way it was, accept it. And everything that is true comes from God, whether it is science or it is religion. And those things can never be in conflict, because truth can only come from one source. And so the idea that context changes the expression of the eternal text is conservative Judaism. That's why we do it the way we do it. And I believe that Maimonides was a conservative Jew. I believe the rabbis of the Talmud were conservative Jews. I do not believe Rashi was a conservative Jew. But he would have taught at the seminary. And then there's Israel. So I've been on a path on the journey with God, and I've been on a path on the journey in Torah, and I've been on a path on the journey with Israel. And at first, I had to overcome the fact that as a young man growing up, I had very little contact with Israel, aside from Mali United Nations and the New York Times, and I knew exactly what Israel was, and that was a wonderful dream gone bad. That's what I thought when I was 15 or something like that. And so I knew at the age of 15 it was a land of prejudice, and I knew it was a land of conflict, and I knew that it was separate. And that's what I thought. And then I fell in love with Shabbat, and I fell in love with the holidays, and I fell in love with our people, and I fell in love with the Torah, and I became Jewish. And I met people who told me I was just dead wrong. And I was as wrong could be. And I needed to experience it, and learn more about it, and know about it. And I did all of that. And I was as wrong could be. And yet, I'm also not monolithic in my love of Israel. Because this next generation cannot be told you must support Israel at all costs, in all policies, at all times, no matter what. Because this is a thinking generation who doesn't assume the legacy of their ancestors when it comes to intellectual content. And you know what resonates with this next generation of American Jews? The beauty of the vibrancy of the diversity of the political spectrum of Israelis, who are the children who have lived the blessings and inherited from the sacrifices of the founders of the state, and are passionate about their life in Israel, even if it's not always a Naomi Shemer song. And our children today need to connect with Likud, or Labor, or Mafdal, or Meretz, or whatever the spectrum is that's there. They can know, they can be told that your beliefs on the political spectrum have a place among the people of Israel, as long as you're willing to die for it. And God willing, you won't have to. And that's what Israel is for our people, because yes, it's a place that has to be a sanctuary, but it's a place that has to have an intellectual credibility and a spectrum and a center that holds not your religious or your secular. The world lives in between. We live in between. I chose to live in between. And Israel matters. And so this congregation has a rabbi who's going to come back to 3 strings and a broken banjo. Now I'm going to play this song as long as you let me. Listening to the legacies of Rabbi Mosesen and Rabbi Asikoff, I start to feel a little bit like Haley's Comet, once every 40 years. The truth of the matter is, I care deeply about Torah, and I care deeply about Avodah as service worship as well as prayer. And I care deeply about Israel, our people, and our land. But everything is Torah. Everything is Torah. And we learn it, and it guides us. When we pray in the Siddur, we pray the words of Torah, rewoven over and over by the rabbis of old. We take quotes from the Torah and make it our prayers. And we speak God's words back to God, because it's the closest I can get to thinking He'll understand it. And give me a little chasadim, acts of loving is nothing but Torah spoken with my hands. I will learn the Torah. I will pray the Torah. I will live the Torah. But I can't do it without you. I love my family. But for Judaism, I need you. I've been looking for you for a very long time. If you believe the rabbis of the Midrash, since before the souls gathered at Sinai, I have been looking for you. I am grateful today that we have found each other. Will you learn a little Torah?